Have you ever been in one of those relationships, the kind that just drains you emotionally, but for some reason you just can't bring yourself to leave? Well, today we're going to look at that whole experience through a totally different lens, a new way of understanding why it's so hard to walk away.
Oh man, who hasn't said this? You've said it, I've said it, you feel it deep in your soul. You've hit your breaking point and you think, this is it. This is the moment everything changes. It's such a powerful, honest thing to declare. And then, somehow, you're right back there, in the same argument, the same painful cycle, with the exact same person. It's so confusing, right? And it hurts. But listen, that pattern of going back, even when you know it's going to hurt again, that's a huge clue that something much deeper is going on.
So here's the big reframe I want you to consider. What if that intense force that keeps you stuck isn't just love in its purest form? What if it's not even just attachment? What if we called it what it really feels like? An addiction. Now, when we hear the word addiction, our brains immediately jump to things like drugs or alcohol. But if you look at the psychological definition, it's way broader. It's any pattern of behavior you feel compelled to repeat even when you are totally aware that it has negative consequences. It's knowing something is bad for you, but feeling this irresistible pull to do it anyway. So, let's put these side by side for a second. With a substance, the hook is obviously chemical, but in a relational addiction, the hook is emotional. It's that hit of validation, of affection, of feeling seen. But look at the driver, the thing underneath it all. It's compulsion for both. You're not just chasing a person, you are chasing a feeling, that little spike of relief, that high. And the reason this whole pattern is so powerful is that it literally hijacks your brain's reward system. It's all about something called intermittent reinforcement. Seriously, just think about a slot machine. Why do people keep pulling the lever? Because they have no idea when they're going to get the payout. It's that unpredictability that makes it so wildly addictive. And this brings us to the science behind it all, a model that really explains these crazy dynamics. It's called the trauma bonds reward loop. Honestly, once you see this cycle laid out, all the confusion starts to just click into place. It all starts to make sense. Okay, so here's how it works. First, you have the idealization phase. It feels amazing, like you found your person. Then, suddenly, withdrawal. They pull away, they get distant, and you're left feeling anxious and confused. So what do? You start to overinvest. You try harder, you work to fix it, to get that amazing feeling back. And then, bam, the reward. They come back, they give you that attention, and your brain gets this massive flood of dopamine. But here's the thing, it's not a dopamine hit from love. It's a dopamine hit from relief. And that relief is what locks the whole cycle in place. So yeah, understanding their behavior is part of it. But the real power, the thing that gives you your freedom back, comes from understanding your role in it. And let me be clear, this is not about blaming yourself at all. This is about getting crystal clear. It's about shifting the question from, why did they do that, to what was the emotional hook that kept me coming back for more? I want you to just take a second here. Seriously, think back, not to the big breakup, but to the very first time you got that little nudge, that quiet voice in your gut that just whispered, something about this isn't right. And now for part 2 of that question. How long did you stay? How long did you keep pouring your energy and your heart into it after you knew something was off? That gap, the space between your first gut feeling and when you finally left, that's where the addiction lives. It's a space that's fueled by hope, by old patterns, and by our deepest needs. So what was the hook that kept you there? Was it the incredible validation you got, but only every once in a while? Was it that off-the-charts chemistry that felt like something out of a movie? Maybe it was that powerful hope that if you just tried a little harder, they would finally become the person you knew they could be? Or was it that feeling of being uniquely needed? Or maybe, finally, feeling chosen? You gotta know your hook. And this all boils down to such a powerful insight. You see, the addiction usually isn't to the actual person, with all their flaws and all the ways they hurt you. No, the addiction is to those brief, shining moments when they became the person you were hoping for. You were addicted to their potential. But here's the good news. Once you see the loop, you can break the loop. Healing from this kind of pattern is all about rewiring your nervous system so it can tell the difference between the chaos of a trauma bond and the calm of a genuinely healthy, secure love. And this chart just lays it out so perfectly. So many of us are taught to associate love with intensity,
right? With uncertainty, drama, anxiety, that constant chase. But real, healthy, secure love, it feels like stability. It feels like consistency, calm, safety, and a real grounded connection. These are two completely different states for your nervous system.
So, I'm going to leave you with one last question to really think about. If tomorrow someone walked into your life and offered you calm, consistent, stable love, would your nervous system even recognize that as love? Or would it feel kind of boring, unfamiliar, maybe even a little bit unsafe? Your answer to that question tells you everything you need to know about what your system has been trained to chase. And it's the very first step toward choosing something different.